Oh, there she is.
Hi.
Hi, Cindy. How you doing?
Good, you?
Welcome to Guitar Club.
That was very cool.
Thank you.
We just figured we'd jam a little since it is Guitar
Yeah.
Club.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it is Guitar
I know,
Club.
it's nice to have a built-in person to play with.
It sure is.
Yes, it definitely is.
I never take it for granted.
Me neither.
Yeah.
She keeps me honest and hardworking.
Get to
Yeah,
work.
well, that's the idea.
Yep.
Yeah. Hi, everyone.
That's what we do.
Hopefully.
Okay.
Hi,
Sorry, I'm
Dana.
coming at the tail end of that, but John, we should all be so lucky.
Very true. Very true. There isn't a day go by where I don't tell myself every single day that I'm the luckiest guy on planet Earth.
You tell us.
I was married to a guitar player once.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
How'd that go?
Yeah.
Is it all right?
Played in bands together and stuff.
Yeah.
It was okay if he was a normal person, but he wasn't a normal person. That
Has
was the
anyone
problem.
ever touched a guitar who was a normal person?
Yeah.
Hands off.
Well,
Yeah.
probably not, no.
Normal is, yeah. I've learned that normal is a setting on my dishwasher.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
That's true. That's true.
You know?
And even then,
Yeah, I don't know what.
I do eco. Save a
Yeah,
little water.
and Julie and I have had many discussions about it, and I think that at the end of the day, I think we both kind of figured out that her crazy and my crazy just kind of fit.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
Leo,
What's it going to
works,
be
yeah.
normal anyway, right?
yeah,
7 billion other people can do normal.
One time I was reading a story to my little girls, and Ava said, "Hey, if somebody looked in the window right now, they'd think we were a normal family." I was like, "We're not a normal family." No.
yeah.
Are your kids grown up now, Julie?
My oldest is 21, and my youngest is 15.
Oh,
21 or 22?
21. We're 22 this year.
Oh, okay, all right.
Yeah.
Same as mine.
It's fun having them grown.
Yeah.
I don't love hugs as much, though.
Yeah.
oh yeah.
I love a little snuggly baby.
Yeah,
But thankfully, John is my snuggle bud now.
yeah, yeah. I'm the one that I'm the one that whines when I need a nap.
Wah.
Yeah. Um,
What's happening, everybody? How's your guitar world? What's new? Are you immersed
good.
in anything fun? We were just working on a cool new song called Latin Soup that John wrote recently, and it is so fun. Oh my gosh, it's hard.
Yeah, it's fun, but I have kind of have a bad habit of writing tunes that I can't really play when I write them. So like I'll write it, and then it's like, okay, all right, 6 months from now, I'll know if I like it.
We're ironing out the details.
Apparently, Beethoven was like that.
Yeah,
When he was a little kid, he would write things that he couldn't play yet.
right.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
remember reading that. I thought it was pretty wild. I was like, wow.
Hmm.
So, John, what was the genesis of the song, if you don't mind my asking?
Um,
Well, we always laugh that every musical has a Latin number in it. So we
Yeah,
were
well-
thinking, what are we going to put on this new album?
So okay, so yeah, she's pretty right. So during the summer, like early August, I played a gig out in Worcester where I got to play with a Latin big band, and so
Wow.
like four trumpets, four saxes,
So
four
fun.
trombones, bass guitar, piano, bass guitar, drums, piano, and then they had like a whole Latin rhythm section. So, congas, timbales, all
All
the
the good
toys that you
stuff.
hit. Um, and
Three
it-
tuning pedals, daisy chained, like to make sure you're within a few cents of like in tune.
Actually-
Because I mean, with the horns and the keyboards, woo, you're out
Yeah.
by a quarter step.
yeah, although that's
You
well,
don't want to be out.
yeah, these guys are all really good players, so they're pretty good about playing in tune. So I just have to make sure that I'm playing in tune. But anyway,
No, that's what I was saying. Like, I'd be terrified to play at that gig because if your guitar's off by a quarter step, yeah.
right? Yeah, you have to.
You would know. You would
yeah.
stand out.
Yeah.
So,
Not a good
anyway, so the band was just killing, and it's a style that I've had some experience in, but not really.
But they didn't want anybody else.
Yeah, but they wanted. I don't know why, but they wanted me. But
Who was
so,
the guy that was coming through that you were?
oh, I got an offer to go play a gig with Wayne Newton.
Wayne Newton.
Right?
And so
Oh,
Yeah.
wow.
let me see if I can get you off the Latin gig.
Yeah.
But
I feel like that's when you
you're
have
like,
to
no
to say
way,
you did
we
it.
are not giving up John Finn. John Finn is playing this gig.
Yeah. So then I got there, and the guy that hired me was like mad at me all day because
Because you
it's
were
a whole
going to give
different
up
story. It was it had to do with
your amp.
yeah, I brought my amp, and in the rehearsal room that we were at, there was like there was like an open ground somewhere which caused my amp to buzz a little bit. And he was saying, well, you're going to have to just plug directly into the PA. You can't play
Oh.
through that amp. You have to. You're not allowed to play through that amp. And I said, look, I just said to him, I said, look, you're scaring me. Look,
Back off.
Yeah, back off.
We got it covered. We're fine.
Yeah, I'm gonna play the gig, and it's gonna be fine. And like he kind of anyway. But
Anyway, so Latin soup. Sorry.
so Latin
I keep
soup. So,
taking us off course.
so the genesis of the tune, a lot of Latin music is based on a musical idea called the montuno. Okay, and it's often a piano. A montuno is a piano figure. And as soon as I sing it, you'll know what it is. You'll hear it. Like a lot of times you'll hear the piano go dum ba dum bum bum ba ba dum dum ba ba dum ba 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 da da, and then everything, all the other rhythms are sort of based on centered around that. So that central idea is called the montuno. So so after the gig was over, I was kind of screwing around with that, and came up with. Wait a minute. Sorry.
That's killer.
Okay, so that's so then I have a melody around that, and there's a couple of other sections.
Yeah,
It's fun.
that's awesome.
Can't wait for you guys to hear it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and,
We're working on
I am eagerly awaiting the new record, so I can't wait to hear it either.
yeah. So well, thank you. So, and the coolest part about that is I can write really hard guitar parts for Julie, right? And I can hand her all the hard stuff, and I can just kind of sit back here and play all the easy stuff.
Yeah, right.
Just bar chords in the back. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Yeah. So she's over there, and I'm like,
Yeah.
Sounds easy. What's your problem?
right. So, anyway, so that was the genesis of Latin soup,
Very cool.
and actually Julie came up with the name Latin soup.
I did. That's
Yeah.
right. I forgot.
So is it a soup because it's more than just Latin, or is it total Latin, the whole thing?
Well,
I-
John always has that rock edge.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
There's a few things in there that you wouldn't find in a Latin tune.
Yeah.
You know, that's one of
Like
the that's one of the things I kind of like to do is when I'm writing is kind of find a way to kind of put my own stamp on it. You
And a
know,
sense of humor.
yeah,
He's
yeah.
always good at that.
So,
And
so
speaking of sense of humor, I was driving home from work today, and music going on the iPhone, iPod, whatever,
Mhm.
and pompous music,
Wow.
movement number 2 or whatever the heck it was,
Return from
came
Timbuktu.
on.
Too. Yeah.
Yeah, and it just made me laugh because of literally the name of the tune. It's off of John's second record. I'm sure all you guys have it.
Yeah.
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 Yeah. So, yeah. So, you know, those like the three pieces in that, if you listen to it closely, you'll hear that all three pieces use kind of the same themes throughout,
Mhm.
but they're very different pieces of music.
Mhm.
You know,
What was the when I was in college studying music? There's a name for that where variations upon a theme. When the theme is reinterpreted in different ways.
yeah.
What's the name for that?
You know, I
I
forget.
can't remember the name, but yeah,
I
like
just think of
passing
it
the theme
as
between the guitar and the bass, not a cantata, but
like a fugue, maybe.
yeah, maybe a fugue.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's similar, although not the same. But I know
Yeah.
what you're
Yeah. So, yeah. So anyway, so you know, so now both Julie and I are back teaching. Julie's teaching over Shenandoah University and
saying.
Stonehill,
That's right.
and I'm back at Berkeley teaching. And you know, kind of what's interesting about that is at least for me, is you know, I've said this you know many times that a lot of times when I'm teaching, most of what I have to say to the student really boils down to you know a pretty simple principle, which is learn to work hard, learn, you know, practice more. If you think you're practicing enough, you might not be, you know, and to
Whoever says, okay, I've practiced enough.
right.
Do we ever?
You know,
I wish
and
we
you know, and I love working with the kids, but man, you know, there's a layer of it that keeps that you know it tends to keep me honest. You know, like I used to teach guitar in a music store a long time ago, and it was fine, but there's a point where you reach where at least for me, what you know, what started I started to feel like I was stagnating a little bit because because I kept encountering the same sort of things from student to student and dealing with mostly beginners. And you know, I've said this before that you know, like working with a beginner, that's real teaching in my mind. You know, what I do is I'm just trying to get better, and then I'm just trying to share that with my students.
Mhm.
You know, so
So you're always
I
creating.
went through the same thing with my students.
Thing.
Oh, sorry, Julie, I didn't mean to interrupt.
Oh no, it's okay. I was
I went
just
through the same
saying
thing with
that.
my students. Just teaching first position cowboy chords, bar chords,
yes,
and
That's
yeah,
right.
and it's the challenge was always getting someone to understand that with the guitar, it looks easy to play. It's very, very hard to build the physical strength, master it, and to
There's no
foster
secret
that
way.
interest was the challenge.
yeah. Yeah, and I guess you know, and I guess the way that I've always thought of that is that it's easy to play the guitar, but it's impossible to master it.
Hmm. That's why it's so much fun because in 3 human lifetimes you can never master it.
Yeah,
Never gets boring.
Yeah, it always gives you something. That's why it's fun.
Mhm.
yeah. Julie, what were we gonna say?
Oh,
Yeah, I
I would.
apologize, Julie.
No, it's. Don't worry. This is what we're talking about. Is just all our experiences with guitar. But John is always creating new exercises and worksheets for his students. If somebody comes in and they want to learn such and such, he's like, "Oh, here's something," and he'll create this whole lesson. So I'm always
Sometimes.
sneaking over his shoulder. What you working on now? What was that thing with all the dominant chords? That was neat.
Oh yeah. Okay. So I think we did. Did we do that here?
No, but
The
we
12
got,
dominant stuff?
he just
Okay.
made a new warm up. So I'm sorry, I'm taking
So
you off. Can
no,
you
that's
send it
okay.
to me?
Yeah. Okay. Hold on.
We got warm up number 23.
Nice. While John's looking that up, I will say, Julie and John, I was on Facebook the other day, like yesterday, and the memory came up of the guitar club at your studio.
Oh, wow.
And it was 1 year ago, and it blows my mind that that was a year ago.
I can't believe it. It was
Yeah,
a
time
year.
flies,
That's
right? Tempest
It was
Fusion.
in the fall, just the beginning of fall.
Yeah.
That's right, it was.
Yeah, it was about a year ago, like yesterday or the day before, and it just does not seem possible that that's been a year.
Oh my
Wow.
gosh. Now that you've had a year to process all the information,
Oh, I'm still
are you still going through it?
anywhere
Yeah, I
close
bet.
to undoing the small stroke that I had while I was learning from you guys.
all the mind-blowing information?
It was the most intense 12 hours of guitar that I've ever
It was
done, and I mean that in a really good way.
Mhm. It
Go
was
ahead, John. You can say it. You're not practicing enough.
We're not, okay, well,
He's not wrong. I'm not practicing enough. Absolutely.
none of us are practicing enough. Okay,
There are only so
including
many
me.
hours in the day.
So, okay, so these warm-ups that Julie's going to share with you, one of the things that I've been thinking about, oh, hold on. I see what's happening.
You're going to just airdrop them to me?
Yeah, let me do that.
Well, he was saying earlier today that he's so in the group teaching curriculum and teaching for people's stuff. If someone comes to him and says, "What do you do?" Sometimes he doesn't really. Is that what you were saying today? You're like, "What do I do?" Sometimes
Right.
you just do what you do, and
Right.
you don't really sit down and analyze. So he wanted to share a little bit about what he does.
Well, okay, yeah. So
Bring the light of knowledge into where there is darkness.
some of it has to do with, like, so I've got all kinds of materials where I'm teaching arpeggios, teaching scales, teaching scale forms, chord theory, and then when the rubber meets the road, and I'm actually playing, a lot of times the stuff that I'm teaching isn't precisely what I'm doing. Okay.
It's targeted for the student. usually.
So I usually write it out in a way that hopefully conveys a certain idea to the student. So what I've been kind of struggling with as a teacher is to try to come up with materials that actually explain what I do the way I do it. Okay. I was, I'll give you an example. I was, there's there's something called the bebop scale, if you know what that is. In fact, I was just talking about this with a student just the other day. So the bebop scale is a C major scale, but you're adding the flat 7.
Nice.
Okay. And the reason for that flat of 7th is to put 8 notes per beat.
So there's always a chord tone on the beat.
Right?
There's always a chord tone on the strong beat.
Well, yeah.
And
So
on the beat.
so the root every every 2 beats, one or 2. Yeah. So the root happens every 2 beats. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. So, and part of what that relates to is that if I'm playing on a C Mixolydian kind of a sound, the way I teach the Mixolydian scale is because that's the notes in the scale. But if I'm improvising on it, I might be more likely.
Slip the major 7 into.
Right? You can see how the fingerings that I'm using aren't really what the original scale was, and I'm also adding notes here and there just for kind of chromatic effect. So I know what
I was
the
going to ask, do you use that flat 7th as like a passing tone in a Mixolydian context?
in a Mixolydian flat 7 in the Mixolydian context would not be a passing tone, but the natural
No, you're
7
right.
would be.
Got it.
Right? So
Yep.
anyway, So
I'm
that's
sorry. I mean,
as it's okay as a teacher. That's kind of one of the things that I'm kind of working on is to try to sort of revamp some of the material I've put together and try to frame it in a way that's a little closer to what I actually do. So, so these, hold on, let me get these over to Julie so she can post them up on the site. Hold on, airdrop. Okay, here is warm up 23,
There we go.
and here is warm up 24.
And if you happen to be watching on YouTube, send me a message, juliefinmusic@gmail.com, and we will get these over to you. All right, I'm going to put them in the chat. There we are. 23, 24.
How do I find? Oh, I see down the bottom. Okay, chat. Oh, there you go.
It'll probably pop up, give you a little
Yep,
notification.
I get it.
Okay, so let's start with warm up number 23. So both of these, they're essentially the same exercise, but with some different layers to them. Okay, so the first one, warm up number 23. What we're going to do is two different ways to play an A minor scale, and the organization kind of has to do with in this case alternate picking. Okay, so we're going to be ascending an A minor scale, but playing 3 notes per string in the first two measures. Okay, and then for the second measure. Okay, so if that makes sense.
Is that S means stretch?
Yeah, so the S means finger stretch. So the Roman numerals indicate what position your fret hand sits at, and then if it indicates 6th position 1 stretch, that means your first finger goes to the 5th fret, 1 fret below the position indicated.
Makes sense.
If that makes sense.
So we just do a little stretchy from 5.
Yeah. Yeah. So this first one, and I'm alternate picking down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, and you're changing positions for the descending portion of it. Make sense?
Anyone want to try it?
Okay, Dustin, you gonna try it?
Oh, Cindy's trying it.
yeah, I'll give it a go after Cindy.
Okay, go ahead, Cindy.
I have to do it out loud.
Yeah.
You don't have to.
I just want to make
Am
sure.
I unmuted?
Yeah.
Yeah, we can hear you.
I'm challenged with this technology.
Right.
No, here, right?
Yeah.
Where's the F? 10. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know.
So you see how the descending portion of it uses a slightly different. You're moving up in position and staying in that position, moving downwards. Okay.
And you also have the same pattern on groups of 2 strings.
Say more about that.
So like the E and B, you've got 12, 10, 8, 12, 10, 8, and then it's 10, 9, 7, 10, 9, 7.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah, yes,
It's matchy,
So-
matchy.
So it makes it a little easier to memorize that one.
yes.
Going up's a little funky.
Very
Going
much
up's
so.
a little funkier. That's true. Okay, so the priority here is you're playing everything as 3 notes per string, and that's meant to sort of help you with matching up, the picking with the scale, because every time you switch to another string, the picking reverses down up down, then up down up, down up down, up down up. So then coming downwards. So that's for me. That's what the goal is, to be able to get it so that I can play it at tempos like that.
Right.
Okay. Dustin, you want to give it a try?
Sure. This is it's a little bit of old hat to me because
You've done some of this.
well, some people went on dates in college. Instead, I saw this in my sleep. So
Gotcha. Okay. Well, excellent. Okay. Daniel and Liam, you guys good with this?
Yep.
Okay. Good. Okay.
Awesome.
So
Dana?
Danny, want to give it a try?
Sure. Let's see.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Okay, so now part two. The first thing you'll notice is that it's grouped as 16th notes, and ascending, it's exactly the same fingering. Okay, but descending, it's not. So,
Let's point out this little thing.
okay,
Ah.
so what's happening is you're gonna go 1 3 4 1 3 4 1 stretch 2 4 1 stretch 2 4 1 stretch 2 4 1, and then fourth finger on the beginning of the second measure.
You have to
to
do a
put-
little hand shift.
Yeah, and to push your hand a little bit to the left on the fingerboard. 4 3 1 4 2 1 4 2 1 4 2 1 4 2 1 4, and then so. So what's different here is that you're still grouping your finger, the notes on each string as 3 notes per string, but you're playing at 16th notes, so accenting every 4 notes.
that's
So
really cool.
Second.
yeah, so you're playing da 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 da, right? But the finger grouping on each string is still 3 notes per string. So you can see how my hand's shifting like downwards a little bit on the descending side.
Yeah.
So 3 4. Okay.
It's a big switch. A little jump.
Okay.
That's really cool.
Yeah, thanks. Danny, you want to try that one?
Sure. Let's just kind of practice. One metronome here.
Perfect.
Nailed it.
Good. Liam?
Hold on. People are in the way of my trying to get it out. Okay, here we go. Whoops, sorry.
So and it ends with your first finger again.
Oh yeah.
But you can start again.
Okay.
Yes. Yeah. So it's just so the difference is grouping it this way to accommodate 16th notes as opposed to the first one's grouped to accommodate 16th note triplets.
Mm.
Part of the inspiration was there was a lesson series that Frank Gambale did where he explains the sweep picking technique, and one of the things he did, which I'm not 100% sure I agree with, but I was curious about his approach. What he does is he frames everything that he does based on whether it will work using his 3-note, his economy pecking technique. So everything
Does
he
do
plays,
the 2 downs when he skips the string?
yes, when he skips a string, he's
Oh,
going down,
that's-
down, up, down, down, up, down, down.
Oh,
tried
wow.
to look
So
into
he's
that,
skipping in the middle of going like down, skip, down kind of a thing?
Oh, you just, instead of doing an up on the next string, you just do down on one string, and then when you go to the next string, you do a down again, and then do the up.
Yeah. So, like, if we were to do the first the first example that way, you would play it. The picking would be down, up, down, 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 down, and then up, down, up.
Economy picking.
So down, up, down, 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 down, then up. I'm actually playing the second example. Up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down. So, right, I can't really do it, but
This stuff,
yeah.
like picking it the way you're talking about, screws me up on a level that I can't even articulate because I come from like that Steve Morse school of alternate picking the heck out of everything. Even if like there's a jump in the right hand where it's incredibly awkward.
right.
So like I've trained myself to do that. So the mental effort required to pick it the way you just articulated, and I get that it works phenomenally for Frank Gambale because I listen to that play.
He's so
Yes.
fast.
It just spins me out. So
Yeah. And I spent a couple of years really exploring that, and only to decide that, I can sort of do it, but it really doesn't, like I just have other ways that I do things.
Yep.
So that
Yeah.
that was sort of the that was sort of the genesis of that exercise.
Does anybody do that? Does anybody use economy in our group?
I had a student that did that, and so whenever I tried to get him to alternate pick, then it was like us trying to do this, do the. I can kind of do it. I can kind of do it ascending, but coming back, I could never get the up, down, up, down, up. So
Right.
I always teach it. Like I offer that. I'm like, you can do this if you like it. I'm like, I can't do it, but that's another way you can work
Right.
through scales if you want to try it.
Right. Okay. So let's have a look at number 24.
Okay.
Okay. So
Same thing, basically.
this is fret hand fingering wise. This is exactly the same exercise as the one that we just did. Okay. The difference is in how you pick it. What I did here was I set this up so that we're using it's almost like economy picking, but you're adding hammer-ons and pull-offs to it. Okay. So and the reason I brought this up is because this is a little bit closer to what I actually do a lot of times when I'm improvising. Like, in other words, like the technique I use most of the time is that sometimes I'm picking the notes, sometimes I'm hammering on and pulling off. A lot of times I'm using the pick for rhythmically accenting a figure. And then it's not all hammer-ons and pull-offs, but it's often not exclusively alternate picked either, or sweep picked.
Yeah.
So with this one, so what we're doing here is you're gonna, so down, up, hammer on, down, up, hammer on. Excuse me. So then,
I wish you could see us picking in.
so
we can see it.
You can see it?
John, I love how that combined approach also, gets over the hurdle of because I know a lot of my students have trouble when you're doing 16 note triplets. You're alternate picking them, the change in pick direction. What's so cool about this is throwing that hammer on in there. You just up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down. Like it's a very consistent picking direction.
And then there's that sonic, that legato, the hammer on and the pull off. I love that texture change.
see, and for me, that's really the main reason why I include it, because alternate picking, you're getting that popsicle stick on bicycle spoke sound,
I love that.
I do love that sound.
which is great.
A little bit of palm muting is too, especially on the lower strings. Perfect.
It
Yeah,
doesn't have that free flowing sound like legato.
yeah. So this describes pretty close to what I do most of the time. So okay, then so let's try that one. Yeah, you want to try it?
Oh, I picked at the end.
Yeah. Okay.
Already screwed it up.
So you're picking. So you're picking the first and second notes of the triplet, and then hammering on or pulling off the third.
It's only
So
those last two.
pick, hammer, pick, hammer, pick, hammer, pick, hammer, pick, hammer. Yeah,
There you go.
yeah.
I was thinking. I was looking at the example below and thinking in quarter notes, not in triplets.
Yeah.
That's what was screwing me up.
Yeah. Okay, so everybody else understand that? Cindy, you got it?
It's a little tricky.
You got it, Cindy. Come on.
Cindy.
Totally got it.
No, I'm very,
Okay,
No,
so
no worries.
I'm like a turtle on this one.
that's
But
fine.
so, like, when you're descending, oh no, it starts with a down pick, right? When you're descending.
Yes.
I was thinking, okay, yeah. Let me see.
Yeah. So the third note of each group is a pull off from the previous.
It flows when you get it because it's like tick, tick,
Yeah.
Yeah, I bet.
down, up.
Pick, pull, pick, pull, pick, pull. Or, pick, hammer, pick, hammer, pick,
Yeah.
hammer.
It's hammer up and then pull off
Yeah.
down.
And there's lots of other ways to do it too.
Yeah, but this is what John does.
Yeah.
So, John, Cindy brings up a really good point too about picking direction. I love the idea of like taking an exercise like this and practicing it both starting with an upstroke or with a downstroke.
Yep.
When you're improvising, when you're playing like this, are you thinking in any way about pick direction, or is it just
Not at all.
Not at all.
Not at all. And that's kind of the point. One of the things I tend to do is I'll invent like lots of exercises like this that do certain things, and I'll practice it to try to get better at that particular technique.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of times it's either just an idea of something, or sometimes it's like some kind of a musical phrase I'm kind of interested in. In these particular cases, what I was trying to do was try to describe in some detail like how I tend to think of and approach picking, because everything I do, like if I'm using a pick, it's not exclusively alternate picking, and it's not exclusively sweep picking, and it's not exclusively legato or pull. It's often just a mix of those three,
Right.
depending upon the phrase.
Yeah, like,
A lot of
the
guitars-
hybridization of all those things depending on what the moment calls for, so to speak.
Yeah. But there are individual techniques involved.
Sure.
Okay, so now let's have a look at so the second part of it is the same technique for fingering the scale, except now it's using the same finger that we did from the previous example, and this is going to be a little bit more of a challenge, because you have to do the picking and the hammer-ons and keep it as 16th notes.
So you have to do 2 ups in a row.
Yeah, the picking doesn't happen always on like the strong parts of the beat. Yeah.
So down, up, down, up, hammer, down, hammer, up, down, hammer,
It
up.
looks like you have 2 ups.
Yeah.
So down, up, hammer, up, down.
Well, connection problem. Yeah, that's right. So it starts with a down, up, hammer, up, down, 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 up, hammer, down, up, hammer, down, up, pull off. Yeah, so. Yeah.
You know, coming down seemed easier that time.
Yeah.
I don't know why. Maybe because I was getting used to it by the end.
Yeah.
So is that first part right? So the first group of 16ths, there's an up on the last. I mean, it should be up.
Yeah.
Let's see.
I see him do ups as he's going to the next string each
Yeah.
time.
Yeah. So what I'm aiming for is, I guess, let's see, down, up, hammer, up, down, 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 up, pull, up, down, up.
I think I just want
Yeah,
to do
I think
all
it's
of
right.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess it's just weird how it shakes out because the second measure looks like you get into a down up thing
Yes.
for the most part, but the first
Up,
one,
down.
it's like going up down, which feels weird. It's like you almost have to just kind of miss the down and then like instead of playing that, you're hammering it, which would
Well,
down.
the thing is, you have to go down to go up again already. So after the up, you have to go down to go up again. So maybe it would be better to do down, up, down, up, down, up. But John's, he's doing.
I guess how I
Up,
think of
down.
it is that I'm trying to pick a downstroke on beat 2. Down,
So you have the
down,
accent on the
down, up, down. So if that makes sense.
So interesting.
Yeah.
So John,
Yeah,
this is I'm loving this because it's like from a perspective of like building coordination between both hands. This is awesome because I am finding as I'm just slowly trying to play through this, finding that like my left hand wants to hammer in places where it shouldn't, you know. So having to like focus on hammering
Yeah.
where the exercise says is kind of I could see this being very helpful in building the coordination between both hands.
Well, here's something else to think about too. It's like for me, developing speed isn't about getting your hands to move faster. For me, getting faster is kind of about getting both of your hands to be synchronized.
Mm-hmm.
So, in my head, if I'm playing this figure, in my head, I'm just playing 16th notes. But to get there, the way I'm going to practice it is to coordinate things like this, and really full disclosure, I've never tried to write this down until today.
What this exercise?
Yeah. Well, I've never tried to explain it to anybody until today. or at least I've never tried to explain it with any level of detail. But I did recently sort of realize that this is a big part of what I do as a player. So maybe it might be worth explaining.
You know, these
Yeah,
types of
absolutely.
exercises are so valuable because it gives you just a deeper level of awareness. If we've been playing scales, we just tend to go on autopilot. Sometimes I use it as a meditation, but then when
I
you're
love
paying
that.
attention and you're trying to change a new picking pattern or add that hammer on in, it really, you have to focus in a different way. So
Yes.
even though we're playing these fingerings that we already know, we're adding this new level.
Yes.
So it just keeps you in the game.
Yeah.
Well, that's part of the challenge, isn't it? Because every single one of us knows, like, I mean, if you go to a Mixolydian scale, we've all heard a guitar solo or played a guitar solo where it goes.
Sure.
So, like, the challenge becomes how do you then vary that so it sounds more musical and less robotic.
Right.
And I don't know about you guys, but I definitely spent way too much time becoming robotic to memorize those scales.
Me
And
too.
now you have to break out of that trap.
Yes.
The trap
All
you
right.
set for yourself by memorizing the scales.
But they helped us in so many ways too.
What was that, Julie? I'm sorry.
The scales help us in so many ways too.
So I have to interject that I hung out with Frank Gambale one night.
Really?
Nice.
Yeah, he was very cool. Very, very cool. He was
I always-
playing with Vital
I don't
Information with Steve Smith.
Oh,
Uh-huh.
wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I remember at the time saying to him, do you remember years ago he wrote that article in Guitar Player about modes?
Yes.
And it was the best article ever about modes. And I said that to him, and he said, you know how many people have said that to me? And he was just really nice, though. I sat with him for a while and hung out, and we exchanged numbers. It was very cool.
Oh, that's
Wow.
cool.
Really
Reach
cool.
out to him. Say, let's
Yeah.
do it.
It was a long time ago. Like, I think he was just starting Musicians Institute then.
Okay.
Like, would it have been like,
Wow.
which
Early
I'm
80s or
aging.
so?
I was only 2, but
I do not want
Yeah,
to
I've-
tell you where I was at that, or how old I was at that point in time.
yeah.
I've heard a
I
lot of
was
guitar
at
players.
Berkeley in 1980.
Yeah, I've heard a lot of guitar players refer to that too. When they talk about learning the modes, they always mention Frank's book.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Check it out.
I told him he should write a book about it because it was the coolest ever example of modes, you know.
Yeah.
Let's see if I can find it. If I
Was
find
that
it,
I
in,
saw
Guitar
Lenny
for the
Breau
Practicing
once
Musician?
in Boston too, actually.
Who'd you see?
Lenny Breau.
Oh yeah. So I've seen Lenny Breau a couple of times.
Yeah.
He's amazing.
Yeah.
I hung
Okay,
out with
there's-
Stu
When I
Ham
went to
yesterday.
Berkeley-
Stu Ham was at a vinyl show yesterday in Peabody.
Really?
Yeah.
It's awesome.
I had it on my schedule. Like I knew it was coming up. And then I kind of forgot about it, but it popped up on my phone. And then when I looked up the event, I saw that Stu was there and I was like, what? I
That's
must have known that before, but it was weird. So
Yeah.
I just saw him with Greg Howe a few weeks ago.
Well, that's
Yeah.
great.
There's
He was
so
amazing.
many amazing concerts around right now.
I know.
And now we just heard that the G3 is happening like the old G3.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah.
like the original record.
Original.
They don't have a date here though.
No, they
it's
don't.
all the West Coast right now. Darn it.
Curse you, Joe.
Okay, so I found on Frank Gambale's website, it's called Frank Gambale Guitar School. I put the link in the chat. It's a course
Oh,
called
cool.
No More Mystery 2.0.
Yeah, that's the one.
That's so great. Transcriptions of all of Frank's modal and song improvisations as PDF and guitar profiles. The missing
cool.
links to understanding and using modes.
Light reading there.
Yeah.
$39.99. Actually, that's totally worth it.
That is a solid 80s picture of Frank Gambale, too.
For reals. His hair. He's
Is
always
that
so smiley, isn't he? John's gonna send out a backing track.
Yeah, I'm downloading a bunch of backing tracks. I can send them over to Julie.
We're gonna jam a little
Yeah.
Rocking the Ibanez S series too.
Yeah.
bit. Right on. That's
There
his.
we go. Okay. Almost done. Okay. So a little while ago, I'm forever like making new backing tracks to try to find different ways to practice. So the one that I was playing on that we were playing on at the beginning. Hold on, let me bring this up so I can send it over to you guys. Oddly enough, it's called E backing track. Okay,
Wonder why?
so it's called E backing track because it plays an E chord. Okay,
Just an E chord.
it's just an E chord, and nothing but an E chord.
That's
It's
awesome.
so handy.
Make something
So-
happen.
Yeah, and what's kind of cool about it is that it's kind of a nice little sounding little backing track, and it just will play that one chord. Now, and there's a few ways that you can, practice over that, right? One of them is to just kind of play the track and then just solo over it. Right? Et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Okay?
Sarah.
But something else you can do is you can also like use it as a way to practice scales. Okay? Now, part of what I like about that is that because it feels almost like there's a band playing an E chord. If I go up and down scales doing nothing but scales, then it's gonna be immediately apparent that everything I do is gonna have a sound and feel of it that's kind of academic, right?
Very mechanical. Yeah.
Yes, very mechanical. So, and the fact that that it feels almost like a band kind of pushes me to kind of go, okay, we'll do more than just run up and down the scale. So pretty soon. Right? And now I'm a little bit away from the actual fingerings and more into playing the musical side of it. So it's a good way to keep things like that slightly more musical as you practice them.
I sent it in the chat.
Yeah.
If anybody needs it.
I've already downloaded 13.25 megabytes of E chord. That's awesome.
Cool. Okay. Now here's something else too. You can, a cool way to practice that too is to do what I would call two-string arpeggio versions of it. So if I start with the middle two strings 4 and 3, and play an E major arpeggio here, right? Just those three notes: G, E, G sharp, B. Okay, and then I go up to the next degree. It's going to be F sharp minor, A, C sharp, then G sharp minor, then A major. In other words, these are all the triads that are diatonic to the key of E major. Then B major, then C sharp minor, then D sharp minor, or D sharp diminished, then E major.
But you're limiting yourself to that string.
For now, yes. So. Right? And each one of those kind of provides some nice little opportunities. Yeah. And what's cool is that over that E chord, all of those arpeggios work as melodic possibilities.
That's right.
You know, some of them sound better than others, some of them sound stronger than others. They're not all the same.
I like that one.
Yeah. Yeah.
Pretty.
Okay. So not only so once you get there, then you can do the same thing on the top two strings, B and E.
You make the cliffs of Dover.
That sounds vaguely familiar.
Yeah.
I can't.
Yeah. Yeah. So now you know how he got it.
Just playing around with shapes.
Awesome.
Yeah. So I've got that. Okay. I've also got a D backing track. Also an F backing track. Okay.
Ooh.
Also a C backing track.
We have lots of fun things to work on, guys.
Last but not least, a B flat backing track. So because there's a few of them, you know, it kind of gives you an opportunity to practice in a few different keys.
B flat. C.
Julie's blasting over to the chat now.
D.
Oh yeah, I got him.
E flat it is. Where'd
Yeah.
you find these, John?
I made them.
Oh, these. You made these.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, they're-
Uniquely John Finn.
and you know and I didn't spend a lot of time on it, but basically what I did is I played the chord, played a strum, and then just looped it. You know, and then added bass and drums.
Modern
That's a
recording.
great idea, though.
Love it.
Well, and actually, we had talked about this a little while ago. Let me see.
Like the parallel mode thing, or
No, these aren't actually. So these were sort of companions to this other backing track that I put together. Hold on, let me download it, and I'm going to blast this over to you as well.
Okay.
Okay, and
Let's play F. B flat. Which one? B flat.
yeah. So okay, so here's a companion. With this
Oh,
one,
it's got three.
yeah. So
in
this
one.
goes from F to B flat to D.
Those are the tricky ones.
Yeah.
You have to know where you are.
So, you know, with these, you know, what's kind of cool about it is it kind of gives you the opportunity to kind of switch gears mid phrase, right? So if it's F, so F, B flat, to D, right? So if I'm playing F, B flat, right? Right?
Yeah.
So great little practice tool, I think.
Yeah, it's really cool.
Yeah.
Cool.
Usually how quick the changes happen because
Yes.
I mean, at least for me, if I'm practicing over that, I know we talk about like target notes and things like that, but those changes are happening quick enough that you have to be on your toes. It's really cool.
Yes. Yeah, exactly. See, that's the thing. It's like one of the things that I have kind of a lot of fun doing is, you know, I have a tendency when I'm writing tunes, I've got a little bit of a habit of writing something that's just slightly above what I can do.
Yeah, we were just
Sometimes I
talking
write
about
things that
that.
are way harder than what I can do.
And then you
you
have
know,
to create backing tracks. To
Yeah.
practice
So,
it.
you know, what these are meant to do is to kind of, you know, just like I don't want to be drowning, but I want I want the water line right around where my nose is.
You don't push yourself. Yeah, you want to be able to breathe, but like to have to swim to breathe.
Yes. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. Very cool. Any questions?
No, I mean,
Cool. All right.
That's-
Why don't we?
that's very cool.
All right. So
Thank you for
Yeah,
doing
very cool.
okay.
it. Lots
So
of work.
yeah. So you know, so I'm going to continue to work on stuff like this. If anybody has any questions or suggestions, also if there's some things that you guys like to show people, we'd love to see it. You know, if anybody wants to do their own presentation inside of the club, that's great.
Play a
I'd love to
tune
see
for
it.
us.
You know, it doesn't always. You know, I'm happy to. I've got tons of material. It's not that I'm not happy to share.
It's a collaborative
yes,
club.
exactly.
We like that. Okay, so we're looking.
That's the
at
best part about this club. And whenever I try to invite someone, you'd be surprised how many people I've invited who are fantastic musicians who are probably watching YouTube right now, but you know, don't want to be on camera, that sort of thing.
Hey,
The
that's-
best part about this is it's like an old school salon from the 1800s where you just get together and nerd out about the stuff and it's collaborative. And I know I've said this before, but I just got to say it again. Uh, Something like this doesn't really exist very much in the modern world. And I think it's credit to you guys that you have put so much effort into this and you do it. And we're all very appreciative of it because
We're grateful you
you're
guys
generous
come
with your
to hang
time and
with
with your
us.
knowledge. And thank you so
Yeah.
much, guys.
I know.
It's fun.
It's awesome. It is
Look forward to
awesome.
this every month. Like rushed back here to make sure my system's all set up and my sounds together and everything to place, and I've just been smiling the whole time.
It's funny
Aw,
for,
right on.
for the hour before. It's funny because we do the same thing for the hour before we're getting on. Where it's like okay, setting levels, checking levels, you know.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm like plugging things in. I'm like, oh, I EQing. You know, which guitar am I going to use? Oh wait, is that thing in tune? You know,
Yeah.
I shouldn't do it. But
But you know, what would we be doing if we weren't doing this?
Yeah.
Probably watching TV, chilling,
Yeah.
We'll get in
waiting
trouble.
for our busy days.
In your loungewear, right? In your slippers and loungewear.
Pajamas. I do love my
Yeah, I had to change out of it to come, you know.
But it's just that it's the same thing about like why we all get into music. It's the sense of sharing something with other people and sense of community. And
Right.
it's really
Yeah.
cool that you guys take the time to do this. And it's really cool that you built this community where,
Yeah,
you know,
it is.
like everybody that's here on my screen right now, half of you guys I've never even met in person, but like I look forward to hanging out with you guys every month. It's just really
Aw.
cool that you
Oh,
guys
very
do
cool.
Dustin, that's awesome.
Well,
It is. I think it's awesome that you do it too.
Well,
It's really
you.
cool.
Well, we're glad you keep coming back.
Yeah.
Now we got to get
Yeah.
Frank Gambale on,
That's right.
Okay.
Yeah.
JP and Steve Morse to come on, and you know,
Okay. So I'm just gonna
Three.
throw this out there as a soft challenge. Okay. So for the next guitar club, think about either
Which will be on October 16,
yeah.
by the way, because it's the only Monday that has nothing on it.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Good. Perfect. So here's a soft challenge.
An
Okay.
assignment, should we
Yes.
say?
So
the homework.
Essa?
yeah. So it's one of two. Okay. One would be, you know, bring in either a warm up that you like that you want to share with everybody, or some kind of lesson similar to what we've been talking about, except, you know, from your point of view. Okay. That would be one version. Okay. Version 2, play something. Just play something. Okay.
Challenge accepted, John.
All right. Good. Okay. Ideally both. Oh yeah, Julie had a chord progression.
Oh, yeah.
Just
you
before,
got-
just before we go on, she was kind of, what do you think of this? It was cool. What's that last
I
chord?
have distortion. I want to take it off. It was better clean. Yeah, here it is. I love those C minor 11s. Okay, so here it is. Finger stab.
Are you plugged back in?
I think I. And then I didn't know what else.
Oh.
I'm just gonna change around. I just love this. What do you think?
It's really cool. What's that
John will
progression?
always
What are
find
those
it
chords?
recorded too. What do you play over
Oh,
A
oh,
minor
oh,
11?
oh, oh. How about?
Yeah.
Yeah. Maybe. Or, yeah. So that's also a little bit of insight too, is that, when Julie and I sit and write chord progressions together, she'll come up with something, and she'll get it to a certain point, and I might throw a left turn at her, and we'll kind of discuss it and throw, you know, or it'll be the opposite way. I'll come up with something, and then she'll kind of throw a curveball at it.
We like the curveballs.
Yeah,
Yeah, usually that's the nice part of it.
yeah. Well, what's cool? What's cool is that for me personally, I find that if the chord progression is too predictable, okay, then it can start to have a feeling of not really going anywhere.
Yeah.
So one of the things I like to kind of play around with, and it's not something I don't always do it, and it's not an absolute necessity, but it's kind of like every once in a while I like to kind of say, okay, well, what about this?
Yeah.
All right.
When you
Anyway,
say what about this, like how you can step outside of
Yeah.
the key or outside of
Or sometimes I'll have a melody where I'm singing and he'll try like 15 different chords on the last note,
yeah,
depending on what the last note is. And I'm like, oh,
right.
let's try that one. That sounds interesting.
Right, and we'll just kind of play around with a lot of different things, and we don't always know what's right at the beginning, but eventually we kind of figure it out.
We find the right thing.
it's
Yeah.
really cool. When you guys
Yeah.
were talking about, oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, I would
No, I was
just
gonna
gonna
say it's kind of it's cool writing from the melody because I've done that a few times and I've come up with. I was like, I would have never come up with that chord progression. No,
Right?
like
Right.
even
But
to begin a
sometimes we
song.
just think whatever is diatonic chord that's coming in.
Yeah, yeah.
awesome. All right, well, listen, I hate to do this.
Yeah,
I've
we
got
gotta
I've got a
run.
lesson. I have another lesson I have to get to.
Oh, I didn't know
So we got to call it, but
that. Dana left. He said, have a good night, everyone.
yeah,
You
Thank
too.
you guys. So
All
we'll
right.
see you on
Thank you very-
October.
the
Hey,
16th.
as always,
16th.
thank you guys.
Thank you. Bye, guys.
All right,
Good
thanks.
night.
everybody.